This week's episode of Motorhead Garage is on the level as this Silverado gets an active suspension. And we'll show you a big rig cabin heater that will keep you warm and reduce engine idle time.
Welcome to Motorhead Garage. Well, you know, if you got a pickup truck and you're using it for hauling, you're carrying stuff, towing a trailer, towing a camper, you know, one of the things is factory suspension is there to make it soft and ride great, and that's wonderful when it's empty, especially on those waterboard bumps. It'll get you skipping around. But you load it up, and you'll see that suspension doesn't work so well. It needs some help. And we got a product here that I think can help you out. It's Roadmaster Active Suspension. And this is Clyde Shevitz. Clyde, tell me about this product. Now, this has got a little bit different installation than the earlier units, right?
Yes, it certainly has, Sam. What we've done is we've made it a lot easier for installation. The previous kit, what we had is a bracket that you put under the actual hold-down plate here, and a bit of a problem up north, especially where they do a lot of salting the roads, a bit of a difficult job getting the actual nuts undone. This is absolutely straightforward. It comes fully assembled. Whatever you see on this kit here in black is how it comes out of the box. All you do is you take the eye bracket, hook it over the eye of the spring, and the section here, which is the actual connecting bracket, just slips as you see it at the moment. There's one nut, one spacer, and an eye-lock nut, and all you have to do is just tighten that up. Once you've got that in place, it's now fully assembled on the vehicle, and all you then have to do is just crank it up here to get the right dimension or the right measurement of the coil itself. It comes with 2 feeler gauges. And once you've got the right measurement there and the spring opens up, all you do is you set these 2 lock nuts down here, and that's the end of the story. Absolutely straightforward and simple.
Absolutely. An easy install. It'll make your truck drive and handle good when you're hauling or when you're towing. So first thing we need to do is have my assistant here, Davey, take a measurement. Davey, show us what we're measuring.
Assistant? Assistant, he says? Let me check this out here. See what we got here. We'll measure here, and it looks like about 36.5 inches. So
Okay.
write that down.
I've got it right here, buddy.
I figured.
36.5 inches. So what we need to do is measure the other side and compare the 2 measurements.
Okay, let me go check that out.
All right, here's what the suspension system looks like coming out of the box. You can see it's all assembled. Now I looked in this box, and here we have another one. This looks a little beefy and heavy. What's this for?
That's for heavier duty vehicles, more like 3/4 ton, 1 ton vehicles.
I see.
And people that load the vehicles to the maximum allowable weight that the manufacturers would allow.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is, this is not just for towing. It gives your vehicle stability. Even when it's empty, it makes it corner a lot flatter. But when you got something like a trailer, travel trailer on the back, in a wind situation, the wind starts to move it, it makes the vehicle lean. You start correcting, this takes care of all that.
Absolutely. Makes a big difference.
And high torque motors, you got wheel hop, axle wrap, it's all eliminated. So tell me about these springs right here.
There are 3 different springs in our range. This is our smallest spring. We refer to it as our X spring. This is the middle of the range, which is our XX spring, and this is our triple X spring. The difference between the 3 is the actual diameter of the wire and the tension that's applied to the actual spring. This is made out of 8mm wire. This is 12mm wire. This is 12.5mm wire. So it depends on the actual vehicle itself, and we set it out for the right kit for the right vehicle.
Great. Let's get Davey to install this. I want to see him work.
All right. This is one of the easiest installations I've done. And I've installed these before, and this makes it a lot easier. Now, this part right here, we're going to put right over the rear shackle, or rear spring here. So slide that in, slide it over like so, make sure it's in there. Now, this is the easy part right here. This slides right over your spring here. I'm going to take this bolt out, take the nut off, slide this out. That's going to drop down, and all I'm going to do is put my bolt back in here, put my spacer in, slide my bolt back through. There we go. And all I have to do now is just put the nut back on it and tighten that up. Okay, now once I've got that tight, if you notice here, this separates, right? It straddles the spring. You don't have to worry about it rubbing or anything. It's all set in line. It's all in line all the way up. You got a nice piece right here. Now let me go ahead and I'll tighten this thing up a little bit. Now, this has got a like a nylon block nut on here, so once you tighten it up. You don't have to worry about it coming loose. And then to make the adjustment on here is pretty darn simple. And you do all your adjustments right up here before you set it on the ground. Okay, there we go. Now, what you get with this, in your kit, you get two little spacers here. There's a little feeler gauge. This is a 1 millimeter. This is 2 millimeter. We're going to go with the 2 millimeter on this. And what we're talking about here is, take this back here. We're going to pull this spring apart and drop that in there just so it slides in there, and then we have set our adjustment. And then we get started on that. There we go. All right, 2 millimeters. That's the spec on this thing. This is going to give us about 2,000-pound spring right here. All I have to do, that's how easy it is to adjust it. Now the next thing I do is I'll run these stop nuts down. Okay. There we go. And that, my friends, is installed. Sam's got to be working on the other one sometime.
This edition of Motorhead Garage, presented by ARP, is being brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology. Steel rubber, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Shocker hitch, smooth towing starts here. Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GMA body parts and accessories. And by B&M Racing and Performance, quality performance products that work.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage. Well, this installation is so simple. Just a couple things you need to pay attention to when you read the instructions. It'll tell you, make sure you keep everything lined up perfectly straight. That's easy to do. We set this down here, and of course we have 5 positions. Dave used the first one. We're going to take our bolt. By the way, all of this is quality hardware. You've got grade 8, you've got grade 9 nuts. We're going to put this through, get our sleeve in here, our spacer. Slide this in here. You can see how nice it fits right up against that. We have a nylock nut that's going to go on there that will tighten up. You can see it butts right up against there. That's the important thing. Bolt it up. And then, of course, we'll go ahead and go through our adjustment. Everything else is assembled. Really makes a nice piece. Make sure you keep this up here. The neat part with the spacer is keeps everything apart so you're not rubbing on the sides of the spring. And then, of course, we have our little gauge. We'll crank this up until we get this to fit in between the coils, and then we've got the preset right where we need it. Almost there. That looks pretty darn good. You know, one of the things they stress in this kit all the time, when you start cranking this up to adjust your spring, these 2 jam nuts on this end, they need to be away from the spring. When they're done, you run it down, tighten this one against that, and then tighten them together, and you're in great shape.
I'll tell you what, this is the easiest one I've done so far.
Yeah, well,
very easy.
You don't need a lift. You can do this in your driveway with a jack and a couple of stands for safety. 45 minutes, you got them both on, tightened up, and you're going to greatly improve the handling, the ride. It's flat. Makes a big difference.
It sure does. Now, let's check out what we did here. Let's see what we had. What was the measurement for? 36.5?
Your measurement, yeah.
That's what I got. And guess what I got here? 37.5.
We picked up a full inch.
Picked up an inch.
With the same weight RV on it. That makes a big difference, especially in your headlight aim. When the back of the vehicle goes down, the front comes up, now your headlights are shining to the sky. You're blinding oncoming people. You got to readjust your headlight. This takes care of all that. Really does a great job.
Well, we want to thank Clive for stopping by and bringing his Roadmaster suspension here. Really does a nice job. Folks, we got a lot more coming here on Motorhead Garage. Stick around for a lot more.
Today's original Parts Group restoration tip, we're going to discuss the restoration of a 69 to 70 SS wheel. You know, over the years, the silver fades, the black fades, they get dinged up. What Original Parts Group's done is come up with a stencil kit.
What you do is you paint the wheel your standard argent silver.
Right, okay.
Okay, and then the inserts are black on this particular wheel. So what this stencil does is it lets you block off the spokes, and then you finish off with regular masking tape where all the little gaps are. But what it does is it's really focusing on this insert, which is the most important piece on there that details it.
This is a great way to go to get that original look back to new, showroom new, without having to go out and buy new wheels.
Exactly. So once your wheel's silver already, you put this stencil kit on.
Okay.
Okay, finish up with your taping, and you could go over the whole thing with your black. When you remove the stencil, you have the nice two-tone wheel accent on there.
So you just finish off in between here with regular masking tape?
Exactly. You're going to have to mask your tire off, too, if these are on the car.
Exactly.
You know.
And you can do this while they're on the tires already mounted.
Definitely.
And then, of course, new trim rings are available, new retainers, new center caps.
Lug nuts, the whole
Lug
thing.
nuts, the whole 9 yards, make it look like a factory wheel. Pretty cool. That's this week's OPGI restoration tip.
Motorhead Garage, presented by ARP, coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Hey, welcome back to Motorhead Garage, folks. Well, we are here down in our big rig garage here at the Borla Commerce Park. And if you're hearing some noise in the background, what you're really hearing are all those exhaust systems being made. So don't pay too much of attention to it. But if you got a big rig like this, one of the problems you run into in the wintertime especially is trying to get some heat there in that cabin. Well, we got a solution for that. We got Bob Gardner here from Webasto, and Bob's brought us a really unique product that we're installing on this rig right now. Now, Bob, tell me a little bit about your cabin heater.
Sure, Dave. Well, yeah, what we have here is our Webasto Airtop 2000 ST. This is an auxiliary heater that provides heat for the cab and the sleeper bunk for when the truck is not driving. So although it's a heater, it's actually used for idle reduction, so you don't have to run the main engine when you're in a non-driving condition.
Well, that can get real expensive, though. These guys sitting there idling all night.
Absolutely.
I mean, how much fuel does this thing use?
Yeah, well, you know, when you idle your engine for heat at night, it can be around 1 gallon an hour. Out of 1 gallon, we can get 22 hours or more of heat from this product.
Wow, that's a big deal, especially when you got diesel fuel running $4 or more a gallon.
Absolutely.
That can be a big deal on that.
Absolutely.
So what else?
So what we have here is we have our heater, we have fuel pump, fuel line, electrical harnesses, exhaust, air ducting, etc. And we have our new smart temp control. This is a digital thermostat, if you will, where you can have an absolute precision, custom engineered temperature setting for the driver to stay comfortable all night, no matter what the temperature is outside.
So just like in your house, you can set your thermostat at 68 or 72 or 85 degrees, whatever you want it in there, right?
Absolutely.
And it will help regulate this kicking off and on and make it work, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it does.
All right. Well, Sam and Jim are down here installing the solenoid-powered fuel pump. Let's check it out.
That's good and tight. What Jim and I are doing here is, first thing we did was we put a T in the tank, run the line down in the tank, because this heater is going to feed off of the diesel tank. Trucks got tanks on both sides. And we come up here now, what we've got is a line with a filter, and that's going to run over here to our pre-installed pump. So I'll go ahead and let you put this on here, buddy.
All right.
Those lines fit really, really tight. Want to push them in until the two pieces bottom together. Tighten the clamps. The clamps have torque limiters on them, so you give them the right tension. We have our electric fuel pump pre-mounted, and we have another line going to go right on here. There's a little fuel damper, and it's going to go up through the floor of our compartment, and that's where we'll mount the heater. And then we've got a wire harness, and we're going to tie right into the batteries. What do you think? You got that ready?
I've got it ready.
Okay, so what we need to do now is run our wires.
Correct.
All right, this is the fuel line. It's going to run up inside, and this is just going to be outside because when the unit is setting on it, the fuel nipple will be sticking down through. So Jim, tell me about this wire harness.
Well, this is our main harness for the heater itself. We're going to have our normal connection to the heater. We've got this wire here that's going to run over to the batteries for our positive and negative fuse connection.
Right.
And then we've got our connector here which is going to run up to our controller inside the cab, and it's going to be similar to a thermostat in your home.
Great. So what we need to do is we need to tie these wires. We've run a wire that goes down through, all the way across to the batteries on the other side, tie them up there with a fuse. We'll let Dave do some of the other stuff in here. So let's go put some wires on.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, let me show you what I've been up to. What I did is I've gone into the cabin underneath the bench back there, and I put a hole right in here. I've got to drill a hole for some duct work. Before I do that, though, let me show you what we have here. This is our heater, and this is going to go right in here. Now, Sam and Jim have already drilled these holes out, and what they use is this gasket right here as a template. And this gasket is important. You want to keep that on there because that'll seal this from right here, keep from fumes from coming up inside the cabin at all times. But this will mount just like so, right in through here. This will go down underneath, hook up to our fuel pump. But you can see how it's going to go. Before I do that, though, I'm going to go ahead and drill this hole for our ductwork. Now, here's what we're talking about. This is the outlet it's going to be on the inside of the cabin in there. Let's let the air out. But what we'll do is we'll drill that hole through the wall, mount this, and then, of course, this is the tubing that's going to go on there. So we'll have air coming out, or the heated air coming out into the cabin, and we'll also have a return in here. Before I get any farther, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to drill this out. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break. We got a lot more coming, so stay with us. Hey, on this week's Industry Update, we're featuring something that any shop ought to have, and these are called body stands, and they're really handy for not only just holding body panels when you're wanting to do work on them, but a lot of other things as well.
Yep, this is great when you're working a fender, you're working a door, a quarter panel. Fold up, you can hang them on the wall. They're lightweight, they're adjustable by the length of the chain, and these are about 500 pounds capacity apiece.
And if you're not using body panels on there, you need a big workspace. Put them up. You can put a big sheet of plywood on here, and you can see you can work on there. In this case, let's say we're doing some drywall work. We needed to have some areas for that. You can put that on there. So they come handy for a lot of different deals.
That's right. This is portable. It's easy to store. They're lightweight. They last for a long time. If you guys are doing any kind of body work, these are really a good addition to your shop from Woodward Fab.
Anytime you want to find out a lot more information about them, all you have to do is log on to their website and check it out.
This edition of Motorhead Garage, presented by ARP, is being brought to you by Black Widow Tune Performance Exhaust. All tone, no drone. Ultra Dent, manufacturer of paintless dent repair tools. Race Gas, get more out of your engine. Cal's Custom, proudly manufactured in the United States. And by Assenmacher Specialty Tools, professional tools for the professional technician.
Hey, welcome back, folks. Well, we've been busy installing things here. We got the hot air duct installed now, but Jim and Sam are now working on the controller.
Yes.
The thing that controls this thing. And Bob, you've got an example of it right here. Can you show folks how this actually is going to work?
Sure, yeah, this is a demo. This is our smart temp control. Basically, it's a controller where the operator can simply just dial here, press a button to turn it on. When it's in a heat mode, lights turn red. If during the time he wants to adjust the temperature to a different setting, turning it to the right is up, turning the low is down, he simply sets his new temperature, presses the button, and that sets the temperature comfort where he wants. It also shows what the current temperature is, so he can get an idea of where it is now and where it's going to be heated to.
Good. So it's just like thermostat in your house.
Absolutely. Very intuitive, very easy to use.
Spent my entire life cleaning up after Dave. Here's a good time to stop. All the holes are drilled, get all the shavings up. That way you don't get them in your shoes and on your clothes. Track them into the guy's bunk. Jim and I are running this wire up. We've made a hole here through the bulkhead. We'll pull that up there, Jim. And this is going to be for the temperature control, which is going to operate the heater and does a great job. We're just about where we need to be, buddy. Okay? Now, I'm going to close this up a little bit so I don't whack my head on it. I've taken the panel out that sits inside the truck, and there's all kinds of power outlets. There's an ashtray. This is in the sleeper. And I've marked it already. You take the controller out of the package, pop that open. This is a great template. We need a hole that size in this panel, and then we'll mount our control right on there with a couple of screws that are supplied. I'm just going to use a unibit, and of course it's nice to have a piece of wood here to drill through. You want to take your time, because I don't want to tear up this guy's wood grain. Okay, now we have our controller all mounted. So we come right through the back with our harness. Have Jim install it. Here you go, Jim.
Okay, that's going to work. Okay, folks. Well, you can see what everybody has done here. We have the heater installed. Really a nice installation. Got our hose back here for our hot air going in. The last thing I got to do is put this little grill right here on the front. Now, that's important to do because, believe it or not, things can get in there, so you want to keep that clean. So we'll pop this on like so. There we go. And now we're all set. We want to thank Bob and Jim for stopping by from Webasto, and Sam's done a great job on this thing. Takes a little while to install these. Usually professionals do it. It's going to mean a lot. We've run out of time. We'll see you again next time here at Motorhead Garage.